everyone. I'm Veronica Musgrove, Press Secretary for the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry. And Commissioner Mike Strain spent the week in Washington last week in some very important meetings. And to give us a little bit of a recap of some of the policy issues and topics that he talked about, he's here joining me today. You were there for the NASDA Winter Policy Meeting and also the White House Conference on Rural Prosperity.
It was a great meeting, a series of meetings actually. And so we start off with our NASDA meeting, which is the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture. And I've just finished my year as head of that organization. And so we get together and we talk about policies in all different aspects, from infrastructure to issues dealing with the environment to trade and all of these things. And then at that meeting, we generally have our different United States secretaries come and speak and visit with us at the meeting. Secretary Sonny Perdue, who is head of the USDA, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who's head of the FDA, Director Pruitt, right, who is with the EPA. And then we had a day basically at the White House, and it was the White House Conference on Rural Prosperity by invitation from the White House. So we went to the White House and we started off again with meetings and talking about the plan for rural prosperity, and tied into that is the infrastructure plan. And this was the day of the State of the Union address. This was the morning of that. And so we were addressed directly by Dr. Perdue, Sonny Perdue, the head of the USDA secretary. And then next we were addressed by Director Pruitt, who is with the EPA, and then by Mr. Zinke, Secretary of the Interior, and then again Dr. Gottlieb with the FDA. And one of the important things is that at that conference, they're signing a memorandum of understanding between the USDA, the EPA, and the FDA, right? And in different meetings, there are different signatures going on where all the agencies are going to work together. A new spirit of cooperation. And then later that same day, we heard from the Vice President. And so the way these meetings work, and so we're in the White House, so we're in the conference room, big auditorium, but we also have breakout sections where we meet directly with cabinet secretaries and talk about what the issues are and how do we get from the issue to resolution. If you look at the plan for rural prosperity, there are 100 identifiable plans, each one which is achievable. And how do we put these into place? And a part of this is that when you look at all this overall plan and what we're doing with the White House, is that it is from the ground up and from the top down at the same time, all of us working together. And that's a big part of that. And so it's very exciting to be a part of that. And also that we talk individually about what we need in our states as well as across the United States. Big ticket discussion items, trade, huge, a lot of discussion about trade, a lot of discussion about what we invest in rural America in infrastructure to facilitate trade. And then everything from the internet, e-connectivity, and how we achieve that. How do we get to there? And, and how is that going to work in each individual state? So under our banner of, quote, cooperative federalism, that's something we've talked about a lot, is that the states and the federal government are co-equal partners as we move together for this. And the whole idea is to bring prosperity to rural America, grow the rural economy, and that will grow suburban and the urban economy as well.
You clearly cover a lot of ground when you're at these meetings. Was there one big takeaway, and I heard several things that you just discussed between the e-commerce and,
yes,
and the federal and state cooperation, but was there one big takeaway for you that would really impact the state of Louisiana?
The big takeaway is that we're going to be working together to move all these things forward. If you look at streamlining the time it takes to get a permit, if you look at our wetlands diversions and all the things, instead of 10, 12, 14 years, get it done in 2 years. The investment in our ports, and we're going to be working here at our ports. We have meetings actually in the next week where we're going to be trying to help and facilitate the growth in our ports. It's about all the different things, and there is a plan. All of this is a plan, and there are platforms and steps in this plan where we're all working together. And it's that interrelationship between the states and the federal government and the Congress. We also, on Thursday, we went and met, 5 of us, the senior officials there at NASDA, went and met with the House Ag Committee staff and talked directly to them about where we're at and what we can do and how we're working on the Farm Bill and our concerns. Then we met with the Senate Ag Committee staff on the same subject matter. And then we met with the staff of Environment and Public Works. That's where the infrastructure is. And so by working directly with the staff, then because that's where everything gets drafted and that's where the day-to-day work begins. And of course, you know, the Farm Bill, we hope to have it heard in the House of Representatives in committee by Valentine's Day. That's a big push. But also where we can interject what is important. So what are our priorities in the Farm Bill? When you talk about crop insurance, right? Conservation, big ticket items, you know, and how do we get and work on all this together? And so the big takeaway is that we are working together and that the federal government wants to hear from us because we are partners in this.
Well, that's huge. Lots of ground covered, and
Yes.
that streamlining is key. So, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be home.
And we will see you again next time.